I hit financial rock bottom, literally $75,000 in credit card debt, net negative balance in my bank account. I was 33. Welcome back to the Lifestyle Design Podcast. I'm your host, koyawebb, and I am so incredibly honored to have you tuning in to every episode. Thank you so much for your feedback. And if you have not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Your subscription helps me continue to provide these episodes for free. And I just love hearing back from you. So if you have not rated the podcast, also give me a rating. If it's a 5, leave your review. If it's not, just email me and let me know how I can improve, because I don't want 4 stars or less. Okay. But today I'm so excited because I have an incredible guest and soul sister. She has my exact same birthday, Jessica Zweig. I'm so honored to be with you, Koya, my sister.
I know. I don't even remember when we met. When did we meet?
We met for the first time in LA at the Butcher's Daughter for a tiny little brunch that I hosted for my first book launch.
Yes.
And I just remember your eyes. I remember your light.
Thank you.
And, you know, I knew you, I'd seen your platform. I've always admired your work. And then we reconnected through Tanya, our mutual friend and publicist, getting on, you know, my book launch for book 2. And it was like, I remember we scheduled that call. She put us together. It was supposed to be 30 minutes and we ended up talking for like an hour and a half.
Exactly. Yes.
And it just was like one, like opening into connection after the next of just heart to heart. I see you.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm so blessed to know you, call you a friend, to have you partner with me on this launch. And, I'm in your pocket for life, girl.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And I love you because when I first met you, I didn't know who you were. I went to your first book launch and I was like, her energy. I didn't know we were birthday twins then.
Neither did I.
And I was just like, I love her energy. I love your community that you gathered for your book launch. It was so intentional. It was so clear. And you just have a beautiful essence about you that just breathes love, that just breathes sisterhood and support. And I was just like, she's cool, you know? And so when we got reconnected and when we had that call, I was like, first of all, we have the same birthday. Second of all, we have the same ideas. When you sent me your book, I'm like, she's in my head, you know? And I was just like, I love everything about it. And we also have some of the similar trauma as well.
We do.
And our life paths, we have so many similarities. So it's so wild how we're in different bodies rolling through the world in different ways, but to have so many things that have been in alignment. So I'm just so grateful to bring you to the world, you to my community, because I feel like your mission that you have in the world with your first book and especially with the second book, Lightworker, is so huge. And I feel like every single person needs to read it.
Oh, well, from your lips to God's ears, Koya, because I want that too. I feel like you know what it's like to write a book, girl.
Yeah.
We've both been through our own journeys on that
Book trauma.
book trauma. You said it. It can be a traumatic experience as an author.
Yeah.
Because you pour your whole soul into the page. It takes 2 years. It's the most vulnerable thing. Once it's ready to launch, you're like, I call it ask a clock. Like you're asking people all day long to help you, to show up for you.
Yeah.
It takes a village. And, you know, we wouldn't write the book unless we really felt a call to help the masses.
Yeah.
And this book is, you know, my soul in a book. If my first book was my business in a book, this is a very naked book.
Yeah.
You know, really stepping out and telling this darkest, you know, I call it the light work, but it's really the dark work because that's what it takes to find the light, to go through the journey of your shadows, your trauma, your shame, your failures, to really choose yourself through it all. And I believe that every person, every woman needs to not feel alone in that journey.
Yeah.
And so that's really why I wrote the book.
I love that. And I want to go deep.
Let's go deep.
We're not
I
skating
don't know
on the
how else
ice,
to go.
right? So let's talk about your deepest trauma and how you got through it.
Whoa, how many traumas, you know.
Which trauma do you want? The deepest one where you felt like you wasn't going to get out? Because there's someone listening in deep trauma and they're like,
yes,
I don't even know if I could relate to these two ladies because they ain't experienced no trauma.
Right. I would say
one of the deepest traumas of my adult life was going broke. I hit financial rock bottom, literally $75,000 in credit card debt, net negative balance in my bank account. I was 33. I had started my first business. I've been an entrepreneur now for 15 plus years. And I had run my first business, which was where you learn all your hard-won lessons. And after 7 years of running it, it imploded. And I had AT&T sending me text messages that they were going to turn off my phone because my phone bill was overdue. And I needed my phone. If anything, I mean,
you gotta have the phone.
It was
that's
the
last
only
thing you could take from somebody.
Exactly. Like I could, I was living with my boyfriend at the time. He was helping me with rent. He was helping me with groceries. But I had my phone to try and get my business running again. Yeah. And so I went to my parents' house. They did not know any of this. And they weren't even mad, Koya. They weren't even like, disappointed how your parents, that is a worse feeling.
Yeah.
They were shocked and surprised. And they cut me a check for $500 so that I could pay my phone bill and buy some food. And I drove home from their house to the city. I was living in Chicago at the time. And I just gave my life over to God. I just started praying and I started acknowledging what I did have because I was swirling in so much scarcity. I was like, well, I've got, a roof over my head. I've got blue pens that I like to write in. I've got a dog that's going to be waiting for me when I get home, who's excited to see me. And just counting on blessings. And that really left a trauma response in my body. I ended up starting another business. That business did really well. I sold it recently. But that experience of building this big business, Simply Be, the company I just sold, looking back, I was making millions of dollars in that business and thought to myself for a long time during that chapter that I was finally in abundance. But I had never really healed my scarcity. I was just surviving. And I think that's a common experience. I think a lot of women feel around survival and hustle and like the hamster wheel and addiction to work. Yeah. And I've had to really unwind a lot of that trauma. I mean, I've had trauma in romantic relationships with my family and my body. But that money piece, man, that rocked my 30s.
Yeah. And how do you feel like you really came out? Like you sold your business and, I know that transition from selling and then rebuilding is sometimes the hardest thing. You're like, okay, so now what? Because it's sold, so it's not going to make me money forever anymore. Yeah. So how did that transition feel?
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful question. I scaled my business. It was like a rocket ship. Yeah. Hit burnout in 22. And we talk about burnout a lot as entrepreneurs. Like we get tired, we get overwhelmed, our cups are too full, or we're at a deficit. My burnout in 22 was full on physical, mental, emotional depletion where I was diagnosed with depression. I couldn't leave my house. I couldn't shower. It was a dark, dark year. Yeah. And it was that turning point to answer your question. And I did sell my business not too long after. That I reverse engineered how I was approaching my life completely. I started valuing rest and healing my nervous system and really tapping into the feminine values and the feminine vibration that I'm, as a woman, designed to live my life by versus the toxic, masculine, patriarchal game that I say was not written by us or for us. And I really woke up to that. Yeah. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. And so, yes, I sold my business and I started a new business. And this whole chapter I'm in right now has just been all about prioritizing joy, prioritizing play, prioritizing stillness, and trusting, right? Allowing, receiving, surrendering. Like I don't have to go out and make it because it's already done. Right. And really embodying that, which is a daily practice. It's not like you flip a switch and you're like, okay, I trust life completely. Like you have to practice, you have to be devoted to that practice. And so that has really been the biggest shift for me, which is what inspired me to write this book and to practice it and walk my walk as somebody that was so entrenched in that masculine business world. And the world was telling me I was winning for 7 years, making more money, getting the book deal, the awards, the press, the podcast, like go, 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 keep going.
Mm-hmm.
What about my sweet little tender body of flesh and bone? It need, you know this more than anybody.
Yeah.
And that's really been my work.
Yeah.
My work.
I love that. And I love the fact that the polarity between the divine masculine and divine feminine.
Yes.
And I really would love for you to kind of dissect that a little bit for our community, because I feel like it's something that's not talked about enough.
Yes.
Like maybe in some of our circles, but like most of the world has no idea.
Correct.
Like what you mean when you say that. And like, can you really break down what that means?
Absolutely. So when we talk about divine masculine and divine feminine, it's important to note that this isn't about gender.
Mm-hmm.
It's about values. It's about frequencies and energy. And both masculine and feminine are divine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Not one is better than the other. It's the yin yang. We need that polarity. We need that. That's what creates harmony. And you look around the whole system of Mother Earth, everything that works is in balance.
Yeah.
And we become very imbalanced in this society. We have frankly overvalued the masculine. And that's hurting, I think, women especially, but I think it's also hurting the world, you know, when we just look around at like mass media and corporate capitalism and all the things that this world values, humanity is suffering. But back to the question, the values of the masculine and the feminine, just to sort of rattle off, you know, the masculine values are really entrenched in action, creation, externalized worth, linear thinking, assertion, leadership, confidence. These are values that we need, especially as women in business, to get shit done. Right? Like we're both Leos, girl. We're both ambitious, and there is nothing wrong with wanting to make money and to grow and to build. Right? But if we do that all the time, there's a cost to that. The feminine values are receptivity, beauty, compassion, stillness, abundance, empathy, and surrender and trust. And when we really can calibrate our systems and our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, our lifestyle, that is really when I think we come alive and are able to restore ourselves, which restores our businesses, which restores our communities, which restores the macro, right? As above, so below. And so I'm really personally with the work that I'm doing, because I've sold my agency. It was a marketing and branding agency. That's definitely a world I love to play in. But I really want to serve women leaders, women entrepreneurs who are wanting to grow and build and scale and win. And to show them that there is a better balanced way to create a business, to create a life that allows you to thrive as a feminine body, while also just going out and I hate to say killing it, because but you know, we want to succeed. We want to be in abundance. There's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful. That's our birthright.
That's our birthright. I 100% agree, because I feel like that's a balance that I had to find for myself. I think most of my 30s, I was in my divine masculine and I was just like, go, 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 build, 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 create, create, create. And I was creating a lot, and I built a big community, and it's beautiful. And I'm so grateful for that season in life.
Yes.
But when I turned 40, that season shifted.
Girl, we're so, right? 40s changed the game.
It's like, actually, you're going to be in your divine feminine or nothing, or nothing. And so I had to learn how to move differently, because how I operated in my 30s wasn't serving me anymore. And exactly what you said, I had to, you know, it wasn't like I was never playing, but I had to prioritize play. I had to prioritize my spiritual time. I had to prioritize social time, and now time with my family. You know, I had to prioritize these things that were just, not more or less, just as important as work.
Absolutely.
Whereas during that 30 season, I was just totally focused on my mission, my purpose, my dharma, and how to do it and how to reach as many people as possible. I felt like I was Superwoman to save the world. You know?
I get it.
And then I realized, like, no, I'm just a piece of the positivity that is making the world a better place. And I don't feel like Superwoman. I feel like a nurturer. And although I am still, as you said, I have a lot of divine masculine energy, I now have a lot of divine feminine energy as well.
Yeah.
And I'm continuing to cultivate that daily. And I'm not there, like, I will not say today that both of those are balanced in this moment. I think I'm still heavy on the divine masculine, but the divine feminine is coming up to meet.
Yes.
You know, and I think as I go on my fertility journey and I have to sink into being more of my divine feminine, it's just like going to be a natural process because I'm prioritizing it.
Yes. You just said something I think is reminded me of one of the most life-changing conversations I had with my astrologer. Yes. It's very on brand for me, but I had gone to see her in the midst of my burnout year. And my business had been like a rocket ship, right? And it's not sustainable. Businesses don't go like this all the time. They end up going like this. Sometimes they go like this. And I was kind of in a this down. And I had all this like shame around it and fear around it. And she said, Jessica, for you to think that your life is meant to operate in straight lines is a construct. It's not meant to be like this. It's meant to be like this. And she drew a circle. Yeah. Because we live, if all things are nature, we are on a cyclical planet. Yeah. And in the seasons of life, there is winter, death, autumn, shedding, you know, spring, rebirth, summer, blossoming. And it's wild to think that our lives would operate any differently. Yeah. That our businesses would not operate in the same accordance. And that was such a permission for me to just surrender to the flow of my business and how it was going to die and be reborn on a micro and macro level. And it's so important to integrate that into our bodies, especially as women, because we have a 30-day cycle every month. Like we're connected to the moon, not just the 24-hour circadian rhythm of the father sun, but the mother moon. And I just think that that's one of the most important things that women can look at when they're trying to tap into their divine feminine. I agree. Is their cycles.
I agree. Man, when you learn to work with your cycles, Girl, it's like a whole new
superpower.
And even eating with your cycles, what I'm learning when it comes to womb wellness, and it's something that I'm going to be sharing more about. Like, we're supposed to be eating every month in accordance. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I think the awareness of it.
Moving differently.
Exactly. And I feel like the more we know that, the better we feel.
Yes.
So in Lightworker, because I know everyone is going to be running to get this book, what was your favorite chapter and why?
Oh, it's such a hard question. You know, they're all like your little babies.
Everyone has a favorite. They just don't want to tell anybody.
I know. Gosh, I think one of my favorite chapters is the body chapter. I mean, I have a really powerful chapter on Gaia, the planet, which is one of my favorite chapters where I did a reel yesterday where my husband and I broke ground for our new house, and we brought these yellow rose petals, and we're so intentional with like, we're taking this piece of land and we're tearing down trees and making this ours, but it's not ours. It doesn't belong to us. The earth is a living being. Yeah. And we're her guardians, not her owners. And so we made an offering for reciprocity. And I really talk about just how to connect more intentionally with the earth to heal your whole life. Yeah. But the body chapter, I had body dysmorphia and eating disorders most of my life. Another kind of rock bottom. Well, it was a pivot point when I graduated college. I went to school for theater and I was a damn good actress. Yeah. But I had gained about 30 pounds in college from the beer and the pizza and just being a college girl.
We have that in common.
Of course we do.
Yeah. Of course we do. Yeah, I think it was 20.
Yeah. I say I gained the freshman 15 and then, another sophomore 15 is just stuck around. So I graduated from college. I was 22. I was so green. And I had this meeting with a casting director who told me, like, I was probably 2 or 3 months out of college. Yeah. And he said, if you ever want to be an actress, you're going to have to get yourself down to a size 0. And I was a size 8. Wow. And so that sent me on a decade-long perpetual obsession with diet culture and overworking out. I didn't get my period for 2 years. Wow. In the midst of my 20s because I was so underweight. Wow. My body became my enemy. My food became my enemy. I had every diet book, Atkins, paleo, Mediterranean, master cleanse, Weight Watcher, you name it, I did it. It was like the 24/7 track that ran in my brain all day long for 10 years. Wow. So then I finally left the acting industry. And then I contracted an autoimmune disorder from the stress of being an entrepreneur. And Western medicine, for as many gifts as it does to give us, it failed me. It failed me. And I had chronic sinusitis, brain fog, mono, migraines, couldn't get out. It was really dark. And I had to turn to my own holistic modalities. Like I became kind of Dr. Google, and then that led me to, you know, green juice and meditation, cutting out gluten, all the things they don't talk to you about at the Western medicine doctor's office.
Right.
And through my spiritual journey, as I've become more tapped in consciously, I've realized that my body is my temple. It is what I call in the book, sacred technology. It does trillions of things for us every second without us asking it to. We have DNA that is literally encoded with light. It is stored with quantum information from our past lives. And just to connect to that and to turn that on, you know, and I really remind the reader, like, this isn't about, if you could remember that if you could really unlock and know that your body is sacred technology, then who gives a flying ish what size jeans you wear?
Right.
Like, truly, that part.
Yeah.
So that's one, and I believe trauma and somatic healing and our personal power, everything is stored in the body.
Yeah.
So that's why that's one of my favorite chapters.
Are you ready to dive into a world of radiant skin and natural beauty? Our sponsor, Pacifica Skincare, invites you to experience the transformative power of clean, vegan skincare products. Pacifica believes that beauty should be a reflection of your values. That's why they're committed to creating products that are good for your skin and the planet. From nourishing cleansers to rejuvenating serums and everything in between, Pacifica has your skincare needs covered. Say goodbye to the harsh chemicals and hello to glowing, healthy skin. Pacifica has innovative formulas, and each product is carefully crafted using plant-based ingredients, botanical extracts, and powerful antioxidants, ensuring that you get the best nature has to offer. But Pacifica is more than just skincare. It's a celebration of self-expression and individuality with a wide range of products for every skin type and concern. Pacifica empowers you to embrace your unique beauty with confidence. If you're ready to elevate your skincare routine, visit pacificabeauty.com today to explore their collections and discover your new skincare essentials. Plus, enjoy free shipping on orders over 50 and use code KOYA15 for 15% off. Transform your skin and enhance your natural radiance with Pacifica. I love that. And I loved your post about Mama Gaia.
Thank you.
I do believe like plants and nature are one of the most healing things that we can be a part of, as you see, which is why my house looks like the botanical gardens.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
I walked in, it's alive.
Thank you. But it's like so profound how the cells of the plants, the chlorophyll in the plants, like feed us.
Yes.
And then also, you know, as we breathe in oxygen from them, we breathe out carbon dioxide, which is what we give back. So that reciprocity piece, I think, is so important.
Yes.
Because if you do nothing but breathe, you're being beneficial to the planet. And that's why I like to remind people that are like rock bottom.
Yes.
You know?
Oh my God, that's such a beautiful message.
Yeah.
I love that. And that word reciprocity is one of the greatest codes of Gaia, because if you look around what we're doing to our rainforests and our oceans and our atmosphere, and, you know, we can feel helpless.
Yeah.
But what you just said is so empowering about breath.
Yep. Just breathe.
Yeah.
What can people do if they feel out of balance with the masculine or the feminine? A lot of times we're like, you know, with us, our biggest challenge is, you know, being more into the divine feminine. But what if someone is more feminine? They're like, oh, I can't get any of that divine masculine energy. Can you talk a little bit about like the other way around?
I love this question. I usually find, you know, because I work with so many women and, you know, they're either overly compensating in their masculine and they're exhausted and they're burnt out, or they're overly compensating in their feminine. And with all due respect, they can't get anything done.
Right.
Because they're all in their feelings and creativity and ideas and swirling in their passion and play, you know, and I respect both because I, you know, can be there for both. So just starting with the woman that's most likely over dominating in her masculine, you know, I really just value the basics. Like, are you sleeping? Like, are you getting enough rest?
Yeah.
Take a real honest look at your schedule. Where is there space for you? Where is there space to play, let alone breathe? I try to block 15, 20 minutes if I have a stacked day, just to get outside, vitamin D, drink some water, dance, put on a song, move my body.
Yeah.
We have to be vigilant about it because the day is going to take us, you know? And if you can sense that little bit of, I don't know about you, Koya, but when I'm burnt out, I get bitchy.
Yeah.
I get just mean. I'm just not happy. I'm not nice. So being really self-aware, you know, having a sense of humility and responsibility for how you're treating people, how you're showing up, because you are up to you. And so just making space for stillness and yourself, presence, to be presence, get out of the multitasking and just really take 1 hour, 1 day at a time. Don't future trip. You know, when we're in our masculine, we're thinking about goals. What do we make this month? What's our quarter going to look like? Where am I traveling next? What's my weekend going to look like? Like, just let it go and get into the moment.
Right.
I think that is one of the biggest unlocks to calibrating that feminine. It's not even about going and buy some crystals and putting on a flowy dress. Just like be in the moment.
Yes. I love that.
That is like foundational, basic.
Agreed.
On the feminine side, you know, I think it's important to really surround yourself with other women who are empowered, whether that's your friends, your network, a coach, a therapist, a guide. Listen to podcasts, read books, apply yourself to really understand the mechanics of what it takes to be in your divine masculine as a woman, to create a business, launch a product, you know, run a team.
Right.
These are not things that necessarily we're taught. It's in school. We have to learn these things in life and on the job. And to really look at, you know, I really love the values behind each. There's so many, and I write about them in my book, and we'll be talking about them at our event on August 8th, which we're going to talk about. And I have a whole list of them, and it's like, what maybe, you know, strategic thinking isn't where you want to start, but maybe it's about assertion, learning how to use my voice, feeling more confident speaking up, you know, being in my body and using my voice with full authority as a practice. You know, put yourself out on a podcast, ask to be heard at a meeting, you know, get on a stage, you know, those are really tactical things that you can do when it comes to activating that masculine energy in your life. I also love the elements, like fire is really activating. Breath of fire is a Kundalini practice that can really activate that circuitry. Playing with, you know, lighting a fire, doing a ceremony, calling in the divine masculine spirit guides. Like, there's so many things we can do that whatever feels innate to you. But I just think it has to be intentional, because it's not life is going to take us in whatever direction we're designed. And we have to become aware, responsible, and committed to integrating these new practices.
So true. I think that's so important. And I definitely have found myself at different ends. Like, after having my soft girl season and being fully in my divine feminine, I'm just now getting back to my divine masculine, which is what I need, because we're building together, building phase in our life. But it's something that I don't want to lose, is all the work that I did during my season of healing to nurture my divine feminine and be in that play and be in that sacredness. And so I love that you included that in your book, and that you talk about how powerful that is, and that you'll be talking about it on your special day, Lionsgate Portal.
Our special day.
Our special day. And I feel like so many people need to just see where they are.
Yes.
And I feel like this is a good time for you to just kind of check in.
Yes.
So I guess my first question is, like, what really inspired this day for you, and what are you hoping people get out of it?
So we're both spiritual, on the spiritual path. I really, you know, talk about Mother Earth. I know we're one of many planets in this universe that has life. This is what I believe. I feel very connected to the cosmos. And I pay attention to the auspicious days of the year. You know, there's the summer solstice, there's the new moons, the full moons, there's Mercury retrograde. Like, we're impacted by the universal energies. And so, frankly, when I got my pub date for my book, which is coming out on August 6th. It's like, that's the same week as August 8th, which is 8/8, which is Lionsgate. And Lionsgate, and it's 2024, the year 2024, which adds up to 8. So it's the 888 portal. It's like, we're never going to get this again in our lifetimes. I was like, well, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And just for your listeners, what is Lionsgate essentially? So there's a big star in our galaxy in the Milky Way called Sirius, and it's spelled Sirius. And it is the brightest sun star in our galaxy next to our star. And on Lionsgate, those two stars align. It's the only time in the year that they come together, and they're sister stars, and they're in the exact same alignment. And what happens on Earth is a portal opens, and a lot of really powerful energy comes down onto the planet. And humanity's consciousness rises, whether you feel it or not. It's happening. It's happening in the subtle realms. And 8 is the number of wealth. 8 is the number of abundance. It's the literal 8. It's the infinity symbol. Infinite possibilities open on this day. And so I thought to myself, why not host an event on that day, call in some of my most beautiful friends who are light workers leading the way on the planet at this time, Michael Beckwith, you, Danielle Page, and create an experience where we welcome in a mass collective of people who are wanting to use the powers of this day to activate their businesses, activate their health, activate their relationships, to call in more abundance in every area of their lives. And make it, yes, a celebration of my book launch, but a celebration of light.
Yeah. I think that's very powerful. And I love that you use the Lionsgate portal, because I feel like our ancestors were connected to the cosmos. I mean, how do you think the pyramids were built? Like, doing things in certain days and certain timing, it just boosts us. The same thing with our cycles that we were talking about earlier. It's like, when you know how to move in alignment, that's what our ancestors handed down to us. But we forget how important it is to be in unison with nature. Because when we're in unison with nature, our path is blessed, versus fighting against it. And we're just like, why are we struggling? Because you're going the wrong direction, you know?
Girl.
And if you listen to the stars, you'd be going in the right direction. So I love that you did that. And I'm so excited to be a part of it. I'm so excited you reached out to me to be a part of it.
I'm so honored. Yeah. Koya's speaking in the middle of the day on, how we bring this into our bodies.
Yeah. Our body hold the codes.
They hold the codes.
They hold the codes for our lives.
Yes.
And when we learn to listen to our bodies, we can receive downloads from spirit, I feel, that can really guide us on our own personal path. Because even though we're birthday twins, we both have different, unique, and supportive paths. You know? And when we tap in, we really get that direction.
Yes.
What do you feel like is the most auspicious thing that's happened to you in your lifetime?
Oh my gosh, no one's ever asked me this. This is a great question. What's one of the most auspicious things that's ever happened to me? Oh man, I would say, meeting my husband. That was absolutely divine. This was actually wild. I don't share the story. So when I started my first business, I was 26. I was former actress. I was green as grass when it came to business. And I was starting this online magazine. That was my first business for women in the city of Chicago. It was a girl's guide to Chicago. And never had sold a brand sponsorship or advertising package. Like we hadn't even launched it yet. We had a little splash page. It was called cheekychicago.com. And it was so cute. And it said, send us an email, like sign up for our emails or whatever. We had had a co-founder. Anyway, I was in an elevator going up from the parking lot to Whole Foods in Chicago. And I ran into a girl I worked with at a gym. And she was like, hey, Jess, I heard you're starting this thing. Like, what is it? And I was just chit-chatting like it was the best thing in the world. It was about to come. We were launching in a few months. And lo and behold, there was the CMO of Miller Coors in the elevator. And she heard this conversation. She went and she looked me up and she emailed me like 3 days later, because they were launching like Michelob Ultra and they wanted to reach young, like women. And we hosted parties. That was a part of our model.
Right.
They became she paid me $100,000 our first year as a sponsor of a business that didn't even exist yet.
Wow.
And I built the partnership. Like I didn't know how to do that, but I figured it out.
Yeah, that's one thing we'll do. We will figure it out.
Right.
We don't know how, but we will figure it out.
The story of my career. Like, do you know how to do that? In my back of my mind, nope. Yes, I do actually, and I will figure that out tomorrow.
Yes.
And I say this to this day, like, this is what, I ran a personal branding agency and, everything about embodying your light, your truth, your authenticity. Like you are your best business card. People will feel your passion, tell your story, be more passionate about your story than anything in life. And people will feel that. That's what makes you magnetic.
Yeah.
You don't have to have all the perfect credentials.
Right.
You just have to have your belief in yourself.
Yeah.
And doors open.
That's right.
And that set me on the path of marketing, branding, content, social media. Like that was one of the most auspicious moments of my life for sure.
That's amazing. And then you met your husband after that?
Yeah, I met my husband. So I don't tell, I'll tell you the story. I'll tell your whole community the story.
Tell us all. Tell the world your story. We want to hear it.
So my husband and I got set up on a blind date. Okay.
Fun.
And people ask, how did that happen? And, we say mutual friends, but here's the real. So when I started my magazine back in the day, in the early years, there was a matchmaking company, kind of like Millionaire Matchmaker, kind of an executive search firm for relationships and love. And I knew the founder, and we became friends just through the city. And I went into her office because we were creating a partnership with them. They had a big database of women. We were building our database of women, and we were like, we should collaborate. So as I'm leaving her office, she was like, hey, Jessica, are you single? And I had just broken up with my boyfriend at the time. And I was like, yeah, actually I am. She's like, why don't you fill out a profile just for fun? So I filled out a profile in this company's database and I forgot about it. And I worked with them for like 3 or 4 or 5 years. They never set me up with anybody. I forgot about it.
Right.
And then they emailed me 4 years later.
What?
And they were like, are you single? And I still was. And they were like, we have a match for you.
Get out of here. 4 years later?
Really? I was like, I'm still in your database?
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
And they had just signed on my husband as a client. My husband was married before.
Yeah.
He did not have kids. They had a very amicable divorce in 14 days. They were friends that just were never meant to be married.
Yeah.
And he was really on the dating scene wanting to get married again. And he just was striking out. He wasn't finding quality women. Yeah. And he decided to invest in himself, which I think is such a beautiful thing to do, to take, like, we invest in our physical personal trainers and we invest in our therapists and then travel. Why wouldn't we invest in our love lives?
Right.
So he had just become a client and I was like, sure, why not? On one date in Koya, and we had a 6.5 hour first date.
Wow.
And I knew I was going to marry him.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, he's beautiful.
I'm so glad you told us the story because it's like hearing people's love story is so magical because a lot of people are out there and they're so afraid to take a chance, so afraid to sign up for some of these dating. I mean, I met my guy on a dating app, and so it does happen that way. It's not just a weird thing to do. And sometimes like you forget about it, but sometimes just putting that intention out there. And even though it happened 4 years later for you, more instant for him. But it's a beautiful thing. And so I can't wait to meet him.
Oh, you're going to love him. I'm going to bring him to your wedding.
All right. So tell us a bit more about what we have to look forward to on 888.
Well, it starts at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, goes till 5. It's about 5 hour live stream event. So clear your schedule. Yeah. You're not going to want to miss it. This is a day to pour into you. It comes with, all of this brand new teachings, inspirational talks, meditations, activations. I mean, Michael Bernard Beckwith is going to be there.
A spiritual father.
I mean, the OG, the Godfather. He's the best. Blazed the trail for all of us. Danielle Page, who's one of my dearest soul sisters, magical astrologer.
That I met at a party and we had never met each other. So we're doing this event with you.
I knew that.
We went to a party and I was just like, wait a minute, your name sounds so familiar. Yeah. And then we realized that we both knew you. And that was
I know, I remember getting that because we had all just agreed to do this event together. And then you two had ran into each other like a week after.
Yeah.
talk about serendipity. She's amazing.
Yeah.
And she has a really, really clear understanding of what's happening in the cosmos and how it's impacting humanity. So it's going to be really interactive. It's a virtual experience that we're live streaming from Charleston, South Carolina, and this incredible studio. So it's not your typical Zoom event. It is an experience. It is a real activating, engaging experience. You're going to be able to talk to us through the chat, send us emojis. There's going to be huge screens behind us. You don't want to miss this. It's $35. You get the 5-hour event. You get a copy of my book. You get I created 3 brand new meditations on divine love, personal power, and the magic of play. And, you'll connect with other light workers across the world. It's going to be a global event. People are streaming in from everywhere. And just to be in community on a day like that. Yeah. I'm just so excited.
It's going to be a powerful day. I'm recommending everyone to tune in, join us, hang out with us, get in alignment with the stars, and be ready for a new unfoldment. I feel like that's what I'm looking forward to. And I know Darn and I will be planning together what we want to see when it comes to abundance in this next season of our lives. And I think it's a beautiful day to set that intention, to be in community and to be activated with other beautiful souls. So thank you so much for creating that for us.
You're welcome.
And then I had another question, because one of my favorite chapters in your book was about sisterhood.
Yes.
And also the transition of sisterhood and sisterhood wound and things like that. So can you talk about your experience with sisterhood and betrayal and how you've gotten through those dark nights?
How much time we got left?
I know, right? Exactly.
I was never, I wasn't popular. Okay. Like I came up in a very affluent community. My parents were self-made people. Everyone was literally rocking Chanel bags, and my mom shopped me at TJ Maxx, Yeah. And I never had a clique. I, bounced around from friend group to friend group. Girls were mean to me from a young age. Girls were mean. Boys were mean. Girls were meaner.
Yeah. Agreed.
Girls are meaner. We're vicious.
Yeah. We're vicious.
It's just, it's like a tragedy to me. And, so as I got older into my 20s, I started really finding new friends in adult life. And I feel like it's a karmic thing, if I'm going to be honest with you, Koya, and I feel like I've worked out a lot of this karma, but I've had a track record of attracting friends, whether they're personal or even professional female relationships, with women who are jealous of me, who aren't necessarily authentic.
Yeah.
That expression, reason, season, or a lifetime. People come into your life for those things. And I've had very few friends that I'd call lifetimes, and I believe that's all we need,
right?
But lots of reasons and lots of seasons. Yeah. And if anything, it has only shaped my desire to really show up as a sister, to attract women who are doing their own work, because I am, and to have better boundaries and to be able to sniff 16,000 miles away if a woman has her own projections towards me. I really believe that we are talking women empowerment and hashtagging it and but there's a real difference between talking it and walking it.
That part.
Yes.
Yeah. Big difference.
Yes. I call it sisterhood with a capital S. To really see, and if every woman dropped in to their hearts on this level, which is a task, to see every other woman, because she's a woman, on your team. Yeah. Doesn't matter her race, doesn't matter her age, doesn't matter her outfit. She's a woman, so are you. You're sisters. You don't have to be best friends, but you're sisters. Yeah. That has been the medicine of my life, of women who've embraced me as such. Right. That I feel such a deep responsibility to be a walking example and to create that in my own community. But it's a wound that runs deep. And I think it takes us our whole lives to heal from.
Thank you for sharing that. We were just speaking before, and I feel like the hardest thing about sisterhood trauma is to not have it, as you attract new relationships, right? Because things will happen or things will be said that will trigger like, oh, is she going to betray me? Does she really care about me? I feel like that's the biggest thing I've had to catch myself on. Yeah. It's just like, no matter what happened in your past, you still have to treat every new sisterhood like it's going to be that lifetime sisterhood.
Yes.
You have to give it a chance. Oh, you've already ended it yourself.
You're robbing yourself.
Yeah. And so I love that we had that connection and that we both have entered our sisterhood saying, this is a lifetime sisterhood.
Yes.
And if it happens not to be, that is what it is.
Yes.
But I truly believe, especially for those people listen that can relate,
yeah.
that's what's helped me on my journey. Just saying, you know what? This is going to be a lifetime sister. But when you said sniff it out, discernment has been the biggest thing. And when I tell you, before the pandemic, I had never fired anyone. And I employ pretty much, I want to say 95% women.
Wow.
And I had never ended a friendship. You know, I don't have those same stats today.
Yeah.
I've let people go. I've been let go and I've been okay with it all.
Yes. It's all meant to be.
And I think, but I still approach every sisterhood like this is a lifetime sisterhood.
That is such a reframe.
Yeah.
You know, to say, because I feel your energy.
Yeah.
And I might have only known you for a couple months.
Yeah.
I trust you.
Yeah.
You don't have to earn my trust.
Yeah.
You can break my trust.
Yeah.
But to go in with an open heart.
Yes.
I call that chapter in the book, Female Friendships, the Greatest Medicine of All.
That was my favorite chapter.
Thank you.
I loved it. I love reading your story. I love hearing, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone because it's such a juicy bit. Because when you are a Leo, where you're a very powerful woman, you will attract. But a lot of people don't know what comes with that heat.
Truly.
And are not truly ready for the energy that they will experience, especially when we're fully expressed. Sometimes when we're in the soft girl season and we just chilling out, people like, Kikin. And then when we step into our power, we're like, whoa, they're like, whoa, I'm getting burned here.
I know. I saw
burning up here.
That's what people say about Leos. I saw this meme yesterday on Instagram that said, you know, Leos get a bad rap for being cocky and arrogant, but really they just know their worth.
Yeah.
I was like, amen.
And it's so many years that I have played small.
Yeah.
Because I'm so afraid of me being my full self and the effect it will have on other people.
Yeah.
But as I meet more women like yourself and more of my other powerful sisters, like, no, the world needs you to play big.
Yes.
And it's going to offend some people and it's going to bless some people's lives. So thank you for being an embodiment of fierceness. That's why I even wrote my book, Let Your Fears Make You Fierce. It was a book for myself. It's like, girl, be fierce. Don't be afraid to be fierce.
Yes.
Because what's going to happen is going to happen, whether you're being fierce or not, because you are who you are.
Yeah. And the world needs you to be who you are.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for all these juicy bits and nuggets. And I cannot wait for
our day together.
Our day together. Remind me the name of the event.
Breakthrough to a New You.
Breakthrough to a New You. If you are ready to take your life to the next level, you want to be there. You want to be present. Block out your schedule and dive deep with us because we're going there. We're going to be intentional and we're going to take it to the next level. Thank you so much, Jessica, for being here with us.
This was one of my favorite interviews I've ever had.
Yay!
I love you, girl.
Happy.
This was amazing.
If there's one thing you want to leave with our community, what would that be?
You know, going into the spiritual realm for a second, coming back down, you know, you're here on an assignment. Yeah. You are not incarnated in this life, at this timeline, in this body, with your name, with all of your stories at random. You were put here for a reason, a divine reason, and the world needs you to shine that light. It's not an option. It's your responsibility.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you take your biggest and most profound nuggets from this episode, share it on social media. Let us know, tag us and let us know. We want to hear what we're saying that's really resonating with you. So let us know. And again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being part of this community. Until next time, love yourself, love others, and love the world. One day at a time, one breath at a time. Peace and love.